Muyu mu free onomo. No more my just 3 days.
3 days.
Ma o yini biantu na shirika entu free boku. Abugla entu free boku. For only 1 week ko wa betima tena kromo onomo no. Wona kroni ya odie. Finish. And Bawku conflict.
This biased conduct of the IGP and the cowardly unprofessional conduct of apologizing to criminals has emboldened the Kusasi youth to perpetuate more crime.
Now I say we are even the president of the Republic of Ghana, Ono Dramani Mahama no, as an ombeswa yinu. So okokita
Nasheriga is unwavering. Any attempt to remove Nasheriga as wrongly advocated by the Kusasis, or any action that seeks to undermine the authority of the Nairi will be met with full and unified resolve of the Bawku Youth.
This is Magical GH. Magical GH. And I will be Nyama Papa. Subscribe Nestle. Magical.
Attempts by the Ghana Police Service to restore order and ensure freedom of movement along the Bawku Bolga Pulimakom International Road by preventing attacks and harassment of innocent citizens have been met with violent resistance by the Kusasi youth, tragically resulting in the loss of life. The subsequent coordinated armed attacks by Kusasi youth on multiple police installations, including the burning of the residence of the divisional police commander, sections of the Bawku police barracks, the Binduri police post, and the attacks on the Pusiga police station, as well as the residences of honorable members of parliament, Honorable Mahama IGP and Honorable Ladi Ayamba, leading to injuries to police and immigration officers and extensive damage to public infrastructure, are acts that demand the strongest condemnation. Unfortunately, we are yet to see a single condemnation of these acts of terrorism from the Kusasi leadership and their political class, like Honorable Ayarga, Honorable Avoka, and the rest of the members of parliament in the Bawku area. They are silent. None of them is bold enough to condemn these acts of terrorism. Following the above violent acts of domestic terrorism by the Kusasi youth, because they have come out to own up and say they are those committing these acts of terrorism, the Inspector General of Police visited Bawku, and in what can be best described as bizarre, he apologized to the Kusasis, the same people who attacked and vandalized several police and state installations. Furthermore, the IGP refused to visit Mamprusis, who are key stakeholders in this matter. This biased conduct of the IGP and the cowardly unprofessional conduct of apologizing to criminals has emboldened the Kusasi youth to perpetuate more crime. They went, and when I say they, I mean the Kusasi youth, because they have actually accepted that they are those doing this. They went on rampage, attacking and killing innocent Maprusis in the Binduri district. Their ungodly criminal activities climaxed on the afternoon of April 13, 2025, when they ambushed and killed 2 police officers in the Binduri district. The mark of a good leader is having the best interest of the people he leads, but to throw the sacrifices of the men in uniform to the dogs just to appease what the former police sitraps describe as Kusasi banditry smacks of incompetence and professional negligence on the part of the Inspector General of Police. Indeed, we are reliably informed that almost all the policemen stationed at districts like Binduri, Pusga, have all been recalled to the Divisional Police Command in Bawku, simply because of threats by Kusasi youth, emboldened by the pleas of the IGP. We have cited a police memo from the Upper East Regional Police Command issuing a ban on the movement of police personnel to Bawku. this development paints a bleak outlook of the security of the area. We would like to extend our deepest condolences to the government and families of the deceased police officers. We commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for his forthright description of these acts as criminal vandalism of state property. It is our considered view that the Kusasi youth were emboldened by the unfortunate apology issued by the IGP to them for their acts of violence and terrorism against the state of Ghana. They have done that to several citizens, innocent citizens, and they now feel emboldened to attack the state. And all the IGP could do was to go and apologize to them. We urge the police and all security agencies to heed the clear directive from the president that these acts are acts of criminal vandalism of state property, and ensure that the perpetrators of these dastardly acts face the full force of the law. Unfortunately, instead of confronting these bandits and terrorists, the security has folded up in BAWKU. They have all folded up, and the media is silent. All the police forces have folded up and they have gone back to the Divisional Police Command. Instead of confronting armed bandits and terrorists, they have emboldened over the year, they have folded up. And then Ghanaians shouldn't be silent to this, because that is how terrorism creeps. It starts at an area where you think that it does not involve you, it does not touch you. By the time you realize, it creeps to your very homes and then your very rooms, deep inside your rooms. So Ghanaians should be very concerned. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, these events, the acts of banditry and terrorism, have regrettably led to the suspension of armed security escorts on the Bawku-Bolgatanga Highway, which is a critical international trade route linking Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Togo. The ensuing disruption has stranded commuters and goods, paralyzed economic activity, and it risks damaging Ghana's regional and diplomatic trade relations. Today, if you are in the Bawku township, you cannot travel to Bolgatanga, because these youth, these Kusasi youth, have taken control over the roads. The roads that you and I pay our taxes for the government to construct and then build. Bandits have taken control over these roads, and citizens cannot travel on that road. And the state is quiet. In addition, the actions of the Kusasis have directly been aimed at making public institutions like the Bawku Presby Hospital, the Bawku Presby Nurses and Midwifery College, the Ghana Commercial Bank, and the Agricultural Development Bank dysfunctional and permanently closed. That is what they want. If you own a country or if you own a town, do you wish that these critical state infrastructure be closed permanently? No. Just like the Bawku Central Market, the Kusasi say all these critical state infrastructure are located within the territory of the Mampuses. Hence, their untiring and determined efforts to render these state institutions permanently closed. Their actions are akin to the biblical story of dividing the baby into two, which ultimately leads to the death of the baby. That is what they want. We therefore urge the state to act with urgency to restore the functioning of roads and these critical state infrastructure. The state cannot sit idly and watch these errant Kusasi youth spit in the face of law and order, threatening lives and property. After doing all these acts of banditry and terrorism, and against the backdrop of the escalating chaos, we find it utterly unacceptable that certain Kusasi groups have again, with impunity, still sought to exploit the situation, even after their acts of terror, by issuing an ultimatum during the Inspector General of Police's visit, demanding the arrest of Bawku Nashiriga Alhaji Saidu Abagre. After committing all these acts of terrorism, they are trying to use these acts of terrorism as a blackmail to get the state security to do what they want, which they are claiming without that one there will never be peace for them. For the sake of clarity, Nashiriga is the respected chief of Bawku, duly enskined by His Royal Majesty the Nairi, Nabwaga Mahama Abdullah Shiriga. His Royal Majesty the Nairi has been the legitimate kingmaker and enskinning authority of the Bawku skins since 1721, and he has been the overlord of the entire Bawku area since the 1200s and the 1300s, since the demise of Nagbewa. In that regard, Nashiriga is the 15th Bawku Naba the Nairi has enskined. It is evident that the Kusasi youth thrive in banditry and seek to blackmail the government by first engaging in lawless acts with impunity and then making such outrageous and baseless demands. The preceding acts of violence, the destruction of police installations, and the murder of 2 police officers are undoubtedly a calculated precursor to this untenable demand for the arrest of Nashiriga Alhaji Saidu Abagre. The point must be made unequivocally and abundantly clear that the demand by these Kusasi youth who have turned themselves into terrorists, attacking critical state infrastructure and state institutions, is unfounded and illegal and a deliberate attempt to incite further unrest. Bawku Nashiriga Alhaji Saidu Abagre is an indigene of Bawku. He was born and raised in Bawku. His father was born and raised in Bawku. His grandfather, born and raised in Bawku. All his ancestors, born and raised in Bawku, with a lineage rooted in Bawku since the establishment of the town. The town Bawku was founded by Nashiriga's forefathers, and any call for his removal or arrest is not only a grave injustice and a violation of his fundamental human rights, but a dangerous attempt to exile a man from his ancestral home in this current democratic dispensation. Is it right? No. Somebody born and bred in the town, his father born and bred in the town, his grandfather's born and bred in the town, then you sit somewhere and say he should be removed from the town. Furthermore, this matter is not subject to public opinion or tribal sentiments. It is a matter of settled law. Nashiriga was previously the subject of an arrest warrant, which he rightfully challenged through the established legal channels, ultimately securing a unanimous ruling in his favor from the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal declared the arrest warrant as illegal. You issue an arrest warrant on someone, the state issued an arrest warrant on the person they said they should arrest. But Nashiriga did not fight. His people did not fight against the state. Even the state issued an arrest warrant against his father, the Nairi. But what did Nashiriga and his people do? They accepted that we live in a democratic dispensation. They took the matter to the High Court first, and the High Court ruled against them. Then they took the matter to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal ruled in his favor unanimously. In all of that, you now leave that and say the state should still go and then arrest that person. And all of you here know how difficult it is to litigate in Ghana here. Very expensive. aside that, very emotional. If you are not emotionally strong, you cannot litigate in Ghana. Then somebody goes through this litigation, gets to the court of appeal, the case is thrown out unanimously, then you sit back and then say the state should go and arrest the same person. In today's Ghana. So the decision that the appeals court gave unanimously is binding in law. Any attempt by the police or government to act upon this discredited warrant that the Kusasi seek to evoke would constitute a gross injustice and a direct assault of the rule of law. Now, what is particularly troubling is that the demand for this unfortunate demand comes at a critical juncture when mediation efforts are underway. The Otumfuo Asantehene is currently trying to mediate the Bawku crisis to find a lasting solution to the problem. And at this critical time, this is the demands that these Kusasi youth are putting. And what they are doing, it shows that they lack sincerity, and then they cannot make us feel that they are interested in mediating. The ultimatum from the Kusasi youth is a clear affront to the process of the mediation, which is being spearheaded by Otumfuo Asantehene, revealing a lack of commitment from them to peace, and instead signaling a strategy of ethnic exclusion and provocation. It is a direct violation of the admonition of the Asantehene, who has called for cessation of hostilities as he navigates the path towards finding lasting peace. While Mamprusis have not acted in contravention of this admonition, the Kusasis have engaged in various acts of violence and banditry against innocent people in Binduri and Guyoko, killing over 40 Mamprusis in the process. Since the Asantehene called for a cessation to hostilities, you are mediating, you said both factions should cease hostilities, and one faction continues to kill up to 14 people. We therefore, as the Bawku Youth Association, say that 1, we reject outright any call to arrest Nasheriga Alhaji Seydou Abagre. This would amount to an egregious injustice, contempt of court, a violation of a binding court ruling, and a breach of the fundamental human rights of Nasheriga Alhaji Seydou Abagre. 2, we call on the media and all stakeholders to desist from lumping all Bawku youth in this act of terrorism committed by the Kusasi youth. The facts show that it is the Kusasi youth who are engaged in these acts of violence against the state, and they have actually publicly accepted this. So there is absolutely no need, as you leave here today, we implore you to stick to the facts. It is the Kusasi youth who are fighting against the state. 3, we call upon the government and the Ghana Police Service to steadfastly uphold the rule of law and not yield to threats and unlawful demands emanating from the Kusasi youth. 4, we humbly implore His Majesty Otumfuo Asantehene Osei-Tutu II, the esteemed mediator, to take due note of this escalating pattern of aggression and bad faith exhibited by the Kusasis, which continues to undermine the prospects for a smooth mediation and a peaceful resolution of this matter. 5, we demand the immediate resumption of armed escorts or armed security escorts on the Bawku Bolgatanga Pulimakom Road and the Bawku Kulugungu Road to restore free movement of people and goods and to safeguard livelihoods that are currently under severe threat. We have told you that as of today, for the past 2 weeks, nobody can travel from Bawku to Bolga. And that should be an issue of concern. If you push people to a wall, you don't want to see the consequences of that. 6, we call on all citizens to stand firm against intimidation and ethnic profiling and to defend the fundamental principles of justice and peaceful coexistence that are the bedrock of our nation. 7, we urge the government to remain impartial in the Bawku chieftaincy conflict and to refrain from any action that could compromise the delicate peace process. This is fundamentally a chieftaincy issue, and the ongoing mediation led by Otumfuo Osei Tutu II must be allowed to proceed without external interference. Any attempt by the state to take sides or act outside the agreed framework risks exacerbating the crisis and eroding trust among all parties. It is the strategy of the Kusasis to use this violence to put pressure on the state and then the mediator, Asantehene, to think that there are those in the majority, there are those who have power, then they will rule in their favor. That is the strategy. And we are bringing it to light here. 8, we call on state actors, and most recently the police, to desist from paying attention to only one party of the conflict, specifically the Kusasis, and kowtowing to their every demand. This is a dangerous precedent and must be stopped. 9, we view the conduct of the IGP before the Kusasis in Bawku as a grave error in judgment and exposes the ill advice he might have received prior to his visit to Bawku. His apology severely erodes the confidence of the men in uniform in the Bawku area, thereby exposing them to further attacks by these Kusasi youth. It is akin to rewarding lawlessness and banditry to the neglect of the men and women who have left the comfort of their families and are serving to protect life and property in our dear nation. We therefore believe, it is our considered view, that the IGP must step aside to cleanse the image of the service he has soiled, to assure these young officers that their lives matter. As of now, I've told you, the police have fled and left the area. They have all run and entered into the divisional police command, simply because bandits have been emboldened by the action of the IGP. We, the Bawku Youth, are sending a clear and resolute message to government and the wider public. We have consistently heeded the wise counsel of our king, the Nairi, who has tirelessly advocated. The Nairi has tirelessly advocated for peaceful coexistence and urged restraint in the face of provocation. However, it has become increasingly apparent that past and present administrations have inadvertently, or we can say advertently, incentivized disruptive behavior by seemingly prioritizing the interests of one group, and that is the Kusasis, over the principles of truth and justice. We, when I say we, that is the people of Mapugu, we will not stand idly by while a group with no legitimate claim attempts to destabilize our community and impede progress in the community. No way. The leadership of the Bawku Youth is finding it increasingly challenging to restrain our members, who are understandably growing restless and prepared to defend their heritage and their people within the confines of the law. Within the confines of the law. Today you are in Bawku and then you cannot travel to Bonga. If you want to seek for medical care, you cannot travel. Foodstuffs you cannot bring inside Bawku. In today's Ghana, people pay their taxes. People contribute to the development of the country. Just because some bandits have taken ransom, taken everybody to ransom. And when you are to describe it, you don't say those bandits, you rather say it is everybody in Bawku. Our allegiance to the Nairi and Bawku Nasheriga is unwavering. Any attempt to remove Nasheriga, as wrongly advocated by the Kusasis, or any action that seeks to undermine the authority of the Nairi will be met with full and unified resolve of the Bawku Youth. Our commitment is absolute, and our patience should not be mistaken for a weakness. The majority of the youth of Bawku, namely the Mapusis and our allies, possess the inherent capacity to defend ourselves against such acts of banditry and terrorism by the Kusasi youth, who have not spared even the state security apparatus. They have not spared the state security. However, our respect for law and order remains paramount in our engagement with security agencies. We therefore urge law enforcement to be firm and decisive in maintaining law and order in their approach to maintaining peace within the Bawku traditional area, ensuring that no individual or group is treated above the law. Let us all remember that lasting peace is not forged through intimidation, and justice must be applied equitably. The Bawku Youth Association remains committed to peace, but that peace must be built upon a foundation of truth, justice, and the unhindered freedom for all people to engage in commerce and community life without fear or coercion. Thank you, and may God bless His Royal Majesty the Nairi. May God bless Nasheriga and Haji Seydou Abagbe. May God bless Bawku. May God bless Bawku, and may God bless our cherished nation, Ghana. Thank you very much.
Okay, Doc, please let me come in. I want to just, before the questions, please, is GTV here? What of TV3? What of do I do? Doc, please, I need some clarity. If you can just permit me. The journalists are here, I need some clarity. Please, okay, you invite them, TV3.
Let's finish, please. Let's finish. No,
but it's important because the media is one of the reasons why we are seeing they've silent everything about who the Bawku. So we want
TV3.
TV3 trying to use their bias paradism.
Okay, we have presented your views. It's okay. Thank you. We have presented. So, you can come in.
I think we've not given Dr. Issa a loud clap enough.
Munyi mu free abugrawo fie. Munyi mu free onomo. No mo ma ye get 3 days.
3 days.
Ma o yini biantu na shirika entu free Bawku. Abugrawo entu free Bawku. For only 1 week ko wa betima tena kromo onomo no. Wona kroni ya odie. Finish. Ena Bawku ko boniga no. Soja for ni so mutimi ma escort ma enko a. Umma ye kwan ya ya wam nante betime di enko fa pia ko boniga ko diga. Ni ata ye chiaba. No searching. No dia. Ghana ye manya. Ye be ma Ghana ye manya. De kusaji for ni ya omusulo no. Ye betima ye. Ba ye wo ti a ye na shiriga. Wa ma order yentimi ye hwi. Press conference ye crack for no no. Omajuma na omoye no. Na basa for no so ho. Ye betima ya sen omo batempe. Police ni regional commander yini tuo say e bo man pursi ni abrantie pa kunu. Because hu ni tuo wo ja tuo na ma o. Chimi o se dia bi wo kunu man pursi for amfore. En ko ni police ni. Ya say curfew rules kake ya break. Nko 40 mocks. Ya ko kun omo mpeyinfo man pursi ni bia ansore ambo police ni aso Bawku da. Na adentina so moba IGP mo wati me aba makusati for attack mu sutu. No aka je police for say mu sutu soro. Kusaji for shoot police for mo so mo shoot soro. Ya ku mo mo shoot soro. Police for mo amuntimi so mo kan no kure. No mo nja ekuro no maye. Se sana government pay. Bunduri for yan yan ma mo ku bunduri no. Aye when you last. And yes, I buy one get 10 free no. Ombenya. Buy one get 10 free no. What what you know bunduria? Wali o emfa wo Ghana nyina ya Ghana. You better touch it. Atika. The government intimi stop here. What attach Binyoko nipa bako buy one get free. You beji 10 atuso. Be bia man pushi wo bia. Who touch bako? You better touch kusasi. By the way, Bawku for ni kusasi o group kusasi. Yes. Nyina kusasi bia ni umuntemi. Nipa na mo se police akunu. Ah mo sorry se police no gari abugurago no. Ne front and back na emoji. O ye criminal me machine wa Accra ha say. Mato Diana manati fisheni wa Accra ha. Ya kancha o mo se abugurago nye kusasi ni. Mo mbesa. Ya kancha mo se mama yarga. O mo nye kusasi fo. Mo mbesa na ya mo tira se yo TV station mo mbesa. Mo mbesa na se ne papa di yarga no. Aya tribe na ye nipa di. Ono ani di mama ye Muslim name. Yarga ye tribe. Bawku no ba ne yantimi a ye de tribe na frao. Nto ye mama yarga. Nto mo mbesa na se the meaning of yarga na ye den. Simple thing mo mbesa na Bawku Youth. Man pourkuni embo police ni asumu da. Never. Man pourkini bia no aba police no ma asumu Bawku da. Ena yet say yesuro e betima escort ma ne enuanu mama ko tiju asaba a obi antocho mo.
The same thing you do our boy
Walwale kula no police ntimi ko walwale ko dinko za semempi. But because of peace man pursue penti. Police for be buru ko walwale.
O kabia no go.
Ah o ma won saso no. Ye betima ma won sana ka woni e dia carry wall say. U police ni wuntimi yi. But ye nim say ye na ye. Mo ye law enforcement. Atade ni tie mamu respect eno nkire say yesuro. Man pursue ni yo before. Ena Bawku ya kono ye no group kusasi na eku. Ye ni trap bia Bawku ya ni momo ya kusasi fo. Because oma muti san ko asem ni na mo pay for ni obi ani wa obeba ni di mintimi nkire obebi ofi. Ya show ma show mo mama mo show mo papa mo. Ibi omo lawyers no mo MPs omo to ene. Man pursue for ahwa omo. Wo bisa no enfa no oti from etesa obekire ni fi obekire Bawku township. Avocat
Onyo anybody at Bawku no mo fe say e ko sa abugro ani kema no abugro ani kema zoko no onyo yini bia o onyo yini bia politics onyini who try say politician make kire so we onyini insana na obia we say we onyini ye yo hini tata ye demand politician bia na say o make kire say ye onyini insana Ghanaians so mo jintu say ye onyini David ye were overlord or na friend overlord of Mampurku kingdom and it didn't Abdullah Mami Sheriga oh na e ko e na o mo ko so onyini no I tell say o tina ofie na o ka say we onyini even the president of the Republic of Ghana ono John Dramani Mahama no asa na o mbe so onyini no say okokita bibi e de so e ma Ghanaian say na chief justice a so ni in insa na o wura office na dey tina win election na dey tina wan ko wura office I say who tina ofie na o be ka kire obi say we onyini this is me gina on say o wode ba o beti we be ka kire say me forefathers o mu wo mu Bawku ono no ni nana ban ni grave na e wo Bawku ono abogro wa ni kema no abogro is a different with Azoka yeah nim Azoka he's a younger man by trap coming from Burkina Faso do thing we know that and we know their family house and the abogro also onye onyine enne awa Bawku enye onyine awa babia o hine bia enim so ya hine awa Bawku eye Alhaji Sedu Abagre bin Nabserga the last message ya di mamu mo media for mo bia ya ba live you say be kasa no me sanie wallahi 3 times omo mi omo diploma awa Bawku no soldier for na police for no omo wa mawo omo wa nkwala fi omo wa papa no mami no a omo ja omo say omo ba ye kuro Bawku e be protect life and their properties say be who say omo ntimi a na denti na omo ya police for no denti na omo timi yi sa soldier for na omo kotena bogra ofie no omo yi sa soldier so enfi na bogra ofie no le so so obeti me dan fie enu e bako de se to so mienu se IGP so hu a police for no intimi pata ye nim se amo FB unit omo de omo 30 soldiers 20 omo temama asunje ababoku politics nti se omo nim se omo ntimi a omo sesa soldier 4 ni na omo aboku no omo crossing course civilian court na omo ma 24 hours mi pa bia ne hifie eta from ono eti asaka tiromo se kusasi ni bia kasa oyo bema on attempti se on block car bi ewo highway international highway ni on block car bi se on attack obi yes e be ya Ghanaian surprise
Exactly. That's why we are even ready for what we said.
Where first and last eti the man won in way na go see first and last ya nim se mra wo Asana Bokuna ba Alhaji said we are bagre de nam sedga the second Asana obedi ni na esi Bawku kulom no ofa mraso ena e kodur Bawku otena ni fie no mo ka tense onyin o no nu abi onti Bawku ka se onu yo Bawku na ba no ani ke ma bogro go no on tira ye ni nana kreva wa Bawku Abdul